True crime community. True crime community has been infiltrated.
I'm king. Back.
I would invite you, Mr. Harmon, to inform the court as to whether there's a request for bond at this time.
At this time, Your Honor, there is not a request for bond. We will file the appropriate motions if that becomes necessary.
Yeah, of course, there's not going to be any bond. Hello? What's up, guys? True Crime King. Back. Alright, so, this guy with this 14-year-old with this crazy hair is the Georgia school shooter. He killed 2 teachers and 2 students. And come to find out, just like Ethan Crumbley, the other school shooter, his father, this guy's 14-year-old guy's father, has been charged as well, as he should be, right? I mean, obviously, no 14-year-old should be able to get access to a firearm. If you are an adult and you own firearms and you have children, especially mentally unstable children like this clown, right? Your weapons are supposed to be secured and locked up at all times, unless you are in immediate possession. That means you are within arm's length of it and, you have control of that weapon. At every other time, it is supposed to be locked up and nobody else should be able to access the firearm. Anyway, we're going to see this judge says to this Colt Gray and find out some disturbing details. That's the title, 12 Disturbing Details of the Georgia school shooter. Hit that like and subscribe button. Here we go.
All right. An indictment by the grand jury for most felony offenses or accusations. Well, you have the right to receive an indictment for these offenses. And I assume Mr. Brad Smith is here on behalf of the DA's office, or he is our district attorney, and he's accompanied by Ms. Patricia Brooks, who is his chief assistant. A preliminary hearing, you'll have the right also to a preliminary hearing, unless you make a bond, which of course at this point there's no bond being requested, or unless you waive such a hearing. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or a jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense if you so choose. As you sit here in this courtroom today, under the law, you are presumed innocent.
The judge said, even though this guy was seen by hundreds of people killing 4 people and wounding dozens of others, right? He is still presumed innocent, right? But we all know he's guilty, right? We have creators that, even when there's evidence, some people just, if they think someone's innocent, even if they see with their own eyes that the guy's guilty, they still think they're innocent. I just can't understand it. Some people will still try and say, oh, this guy is innocent or whatever. I guarantee it. Some clowns on these YouTube, I see it all the time, right?
The refusal to testify at any point in any proceeding will not be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty. Counsel, let me just inquire as to whether there are any other items that the court should address before we conclude this preliminary hearing.
No, Your Honor.
Well, I do have one piece of information to convey to the court. There was a development yesterday afternoon that makes it necessary for our office to have alternate counsel appointed. and arrangements have already been made in that regard. I've already explained that to Mr. Gray, and alternate counsel will be appointed by the end of the day today.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Donna C. Graves. All right, then with that, this hearing is...
Okay. Damn, they do have a lot of officers around this 14-year-old little boy. I guess because of the high-profile nature of the case. I mean, normally they would need at least 4 officers right next to this guy. Anyway.
Is concluded, and you may escort this defendant out.
After a brief recess, the judge brought Colt back into the courtroom to clarify some things.
All right, Mr. Gray, we visited a moment ago. I just need to correct a couple of things on the record. I correctly told you the maximum penalty for the crimes for which you are charged. That's correct, except for the fact that you are under 18 years old. So I wanted to inform you and make it clear to you that the penalty for the crimes for which you are charged does not include death. It includes life without the possibility of parole or life with the possibility of parole.
I'm sorry, I disagree with that. I know that's the law, right? That doesn't mean I have to agree with it. If you take a gun, I don't care if the guy's 14 years old. If you take a gun and kill 4 people and you almost kill dozens more, right? In my opinion, you forfeit your life at that point. That's just my opinion. I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree. I frankly do not care. That's my opinion.
I also wanted to inform you that the court has set December 4th at 8:30 a.m. For your preliminary hearing. And that is, of course, subject to change as you secure new counsel later today and so forth. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed that anyone...
And this judge, he called the guy back in because this is the biggest, this is the biggest case of this judge's life, everybody in this courtroom's life. So he wants to make sure he crosses his T's and dots all of his I's because he knows everybody's going to be scrutinizing everything.
I can think of.
There you are. There you are.
All right. So with...
And you don't want this guy somehow getting off on some technicality, which there's no way that's ever going to happen. But
with that, you may escort Mr. Colt Gray back out. Thank you.
A few minutes later, Colin Gray, Colt's father, also appeared in court. He seemed emotional and rocked back and forth in his seat as the judge read the charges and the penalty he could face if he's convicted.
I'm first going to ask you just a few questions, and then I'm going to advise you of your rights and also let you know about a preliminary hearing that's been scheduled for you. Why don't you just state your name, please? All right, pull the microphone down, please. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, and
make sure it's recorded. Very nice.
54. And are you able to read and write and understand the English language without any difficulty?
Yes, sir.
How far did you go in school?
11th grade GED.
Okay. All right. So the following aren't questions that I'm going to ask. I'm just informing you of some things. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you at further hearings or at a trial on the charges that you're facing. For this hearing, you're not going to be questioned about facts and circumstances surrounding your charges. You are currently charged with, and you'll be provided with copies of the warrants if you don't already have them.
Oh, he's got him.
Currently charged with 2 counts of felony murder in the 2nd degree.
Wow, so they're charging him with the same felony murder as his son. Good.
You're charged with 4 counts of felony involuntary manslaughter. You're charged with 8 counts of felony cruelty to children in the 2nd degree.
Wow.
Now, for these offenses, for the felony murder counts.
This guy's fucked.
In the second degree, felony murder in the second degree, the maximum penalty for each count is up to 30 years imprisonment. For felony involuntary manslaughter,
It should be.
of course, again, there are 4 counts. The maximum penalty for each of those offenses is 10 years imprisonment. For the 8 felony cruelty to children counts, the maximum penalty under the law for each of those 8 counts is 10 years imprisonment, for a maximum total possible penalty for the charges that you currently are facing of 180 years imprisonment.
Attorney sitting in as counsel for Colin Gray also did not seek bond on Friday, opting to have his future court-appointed counsel file a motion at a later date if they want. For now, he's scheduled to be back in court in December.
Between the evil to protect their children, and we want to include them in the lives that were saved as well yesterday. We're heartbroken. A young person brought a gun into a school, committed an evil act, and he took lives, and he injured many other people, not only physically but mentally. But I'm proud of Bexar County. I'm proud of our superintendent. I'm proud of these teachers. I'm proud of these schools. And I'm proud of where I live. And we'll get past this. You see behind me, up here on the hill, we got a vigil going on at our flagpole. I welcome you to go see those kids and those young people that are hurting.
We want to talk about the victims in the shooting. 14-year-old Mason Skirmerhorn had recently started.
Let's pause it for this guy, Nathan. Horrible. Horrible. Somebody could just shoot somebody like this.
At the high school. His mother says he was living with autism and could be easily spooked. There were searches for Mason and all the chaos on the day of the shooting, with his family hopeful that he was hiding somewhere. But they soon learned he was actually one of the victims. A family friend told the New York Times he really enjoyed life. He always had an upbeat attitude about everything. 14-year-old Christian Angelo was also killed. His sister wrote on a GoFundMe page for funeral expenses, "He was loved by so many. His loss was so sudden and unexpected. We are truly..."
I mean, look how young these kids are. I just can't understand. And for all you people out there that thinks it's, we have a gun problem. No, we have a crazy fucking clown problem. An IQ problem, right? I mean, the gun didn't walk into school and pull the trigger and point itself at these children, right? It was the crazy freaking Colt Gray that took the gun, and then his father letting him get it, right?
Heartbroken, he really didn't deserve this. The 2 teachers who lost their lives were both math instructors. 39-year-old Richard Aspinwall was also the high school football team's defense coordinator, the husband and father of 2 little girls.
I mean, look, he's a freaking father, husband.
Is being remembered as someone who was kind-hearted and hardworking. 53-year-old Christian Arami, an algebra teacher, also died from gunshot wounds. The native of Romania was active in the Romanian community and worked as a dance instructor. She was actually celebrating her birthday on the day of the shooting.
Gets killed on her birthday because some cuckoo. Just makes me so mad.
A friend told CNN she decided to bake a cake and bring pizza to her class the day she died so she could celebrate her birthday with her kids. GoFundMe pages have been set up for each victim's families. Several of the surviving victims have also been identified. Taylor Jones was life-flighted to Grady Memorial Hospital, a level 1 trauma center in Atlanta. She's listed as being in stable condition. Her family didn't say exactly what her injuries were, but said she will have to undergo more surgeries and physical therapy.
And these guys, I mean, they're going to recover, but they're going to be affected for the rest of their lives, if not physically, emotionally. And sometimes, I mean, you just can't recover from that, right?
Phoenix was another math teacher in part of the building where Gray allegedly opened fire. Witnesses say when they heard loud banging sounds, Phoenix went to open the classroom door, and that's when he was shot. Another teacher was able to scramble to the door and shut it. Phoenix's daughter wrote on Facebook that when David woke up from surgery on Wednesday, he immediately wanted to know if everyone else was okay. He will also need additional surgeries, but is expected to recover. So what exactly was the motive behind such a destructive and heinous act of violence? That's what investigators are trying to figure out right now.
So that's the look of evil right there. That is evil.
It appears Gray had a troubling home life growing up. He was living with his father, Colin, while his mother, Marcy, lived with her parents.
Mother Marcy lived with their parents.
Hours away in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Gray's mom, Marcy, has a criminal history dating back to 2007.
Oh, wow.
She was sentenced to jail last December, around the
right?
time it's believed Colin Gray bought his son an AR-15 style rifle for Christmas. In December, Gray pled guilty to counts of using a license plate to conceal identity, damage to property.
He bought a 14-year-old an AR-15 for Christmas. Are you freaking kidding me? A 14-year-old. He bought him an AR-15. A cuckoo. I mean, the guy obviously is nuts, right?
And trespassing/family violence. Marcy was sentenced to 5 years in jail, but only served 46 days before she was released on probation. She had to take part in a family violence intervention program and not use drugs or alcohol. But then in April of this year, Marcy was charged in connection with a case of aggravated battery of a 73-year-old woman. She allegedly threw the woman against the wall, broke a mirror in her home, and tied the woman's hands and feet to keep her from leaving.
What a nice woman. What a nice family, right? So we got a school shooter. We got the father who's now facing the same charges. And then we got the mother who ties up a 73-year-old woman and beats her up so she can't leave. I mean, are you kidding me, right? I don't know. So this, what we just saw, you know, the school shooter and his family. Let me know what you guys think about this case. When I go live, I'm probably going to go live tonight. We'll talk more about this and this crazy, dysfunctional, nutso family. Until next time, True Crime King.